Thank you very much, everybody who's here and joined online. My name is Philipe Moriel. I'm an associate professor here at the Beef Cattle Management and Nutrition. So I'm gonna go over just for the main results that we have for those three studies. This is something that is quite new in this area, and there's a lot of promise, and it's very applied for the producers in our region. Okay, so what the whole topic about today's presentation is about using probiotics, and you guys probably already heard about it at some point. So probiotics, or sometimes they call it direct fat microbials, right? It doesn't exist, it's not new, it exists for several years. You guys can go to the grocery store and find multiple probiotics, right? And research in cattle has been done for more than 30 years, but mostly feedlot and dairy cattle, all right? Nothing with cow-calf production. So that's what we're trying to do right now. And this rise in number of research is mainly because they're trying to find an alternative to antibiotics. So some of these microbes, they can actually have almost the same effect as an antibiotic and help increase performance of those animals. So every time you look for research in this area, this is the main microorganisms that you guys are gonna see it. Okay, a lot of them is actually very similar to humans. So you're gonna have bacteria and fungus, right? Either these genus, and these are all the genus that people use in cattle. And within each one of those genus, you also have different strains, right? Different species actually. And within the same species, you have different strains. So you go to different companies, they might have the same species, but they have totally different strains, and that can actually cause a difference. A lot of those strains and species, they have different modes of action. Sometimes they're better at doing one job, whereas the other species or the other strains better at doing another job. So when you look at research, or even when you look at the grocery store, if you guys realize, some of those probiotics is actually a mixture of several of those microorganisms, not just one, because they're trying to use different species that complement each other. All right. Now, I'm not going to go through all modes of action because that will make you guys really tired. But overall, this is what they do. Right? First of all, it actually can increase, those microorganisms can actually produce enzymes that help digest the forage, that help digest the supplement that you're providing. So overall, the animals end up having more energy and protein available for growth, right? Besides that, it has a lot of health issues, benefits, I'm sorry. So for example, it can modulate the intestinal health. So the intestines is one of the primary organs associated with your immune protection. Right? There's a lot of immune cells in your intestines protecting, right, the pathogen infiltration into your bloodstream. So this bacteria, right, the good bacteria that they can actually make it harder for the pathogens to grow, or they help eliminate these pathogens, right? They secrete antibacterial factors, they create a mucus in the intestine, and that helps protect from infiltration of pathogens. There's a lot of research in there, for example, with leaky gut, if you guys never heard about it. Right? It's an inflammation of the intestine. So that inflammation, what it does, it creates gaps in your intestine that is just easier for pathogens to infiltrate. They reach the bloodstream, they cause inflammation, they cause sickness in those animals. So by providing probiotics, you can actually help the health of the whole intestine and make more challenging for this bacteria to proliferate, right? So overall, there are several things that they can do. It helps with the rumen function, more digestibility, and also intestinal health. So combined, this can actually lead to an improved growth, milk production, reproduction, and immune system, right? Now, I'm going to go straight to what I want to show you, instead of showing you all data with feedlot and dairy cattle. So, like I said, there's nothing with probiotics in cow-calf systems published at all. So we were the first ones to do it, and these other two studies will be also the first ones that have been done. But it has a lot of promise in it. I think you guys are gonna like, and the very, very reasonable the cost, and the benefits more than outweigh the cost. So what we did, first we used this product from Novonesis, right? I would like to thank Dr. Capelosa for helping support those studies. Those are two strains of bacteria, Bacillus subtilis and Bacillus licheniformis. Why do we like these two ones here? Because it's in an spore form. That means it's inactive. So we can keep it in a bag in our lab, something dry, protected from the sun, and there's no problem. The shelf life is really long. It's easy for somebody in a cow-calf situation, right? You don't require special storage. If you go in the grocery store, for example, a lot of those probiotics, they actually have to be stored in the freezer, in a fridge, I'm sorry, right? Because they're active. Now, this one here is inactive form. Once the animal consumes, it reaches the rumen and the intestine, reaches a lower pH, and it actually becomes activated. And then it starts proliferating in the intestine. Makes it very easy for people on a daily basis. So I'm going to show you 3 studies. One with first with replacement heifers, then with pregnant heifers, and the last one with multiple counts. So the first one with replacement heifers, and also this study here was funded last year by the Cattlemen Association, and they funded again this year, the second year. I'm just going to show you the data from last year, but like I said, we started in July and it will be done April of next year, the second year. Okay. So this study here, we have pretty much Brangus heifers, right? Weaned at around 9 months of age, all of them in Bahia grass pastures. Half of them, all of them receive concentrate supplementation like you would normally do. But half of them have no antibiotics, no probiotic added, or half of them has 3 grams of this product added to each heifer every day, from the weaning all the way into the end of the breeding season. So that's about only $8 of cost per heifer. So very reasonable, very low cost for these animals. Very easy to mix, no issues with that. And then all of the heifers, they're synchronized AI, and then we put them with bulls for a 90-day breeding season. So in year 1, what we thought was, right, by providing this product, like I said, it can help with digestibility. Maybe they will eat more, have more energy and protein available, they will grow more. And actually that didn't happen. Okay, there's no differences in growth performance if they receive the probiotic or not. All of them reach about 70% of their mature body weight at the start of breeding season, so they were great. They were heavy, they were ready to perform, but no advantage on that part. However, when we look at the reproductive part, okay, we see that when we added the probiotic, more heifers started to reach puberty sooner, right? Their reproductive tract score was slightly bigger, means they're more ready for reproduction to conceive. Okay, and now we almost detected differences in their conception rates to AI. If we have the same kind of response this year, this will be statistically significant, right? So it seems like it's gonna work very well in this case. And those heifers, they're starting to calve now in November, so I don't have the calving distribution. So overall, it seems that their growth performance is not impacted, but it does help with their reproduction. It's very common to see this type of response, that when you don't have effects on growth, but you do see an advantage in performance reproductive-wise. This is mainly because reproduction is more sensitive to metabolic changes, right, rather than growth. You can provide different kind of substrates and they will actually have the same average daily gain. But when it comes to reproduction, fine adjustments in the supplement can actually cause fine changes in their metabolism, and that improves reproductive performance. But like I said, this is just year 1. We are repeating year 2, but at least we have some promising results and the cost is very low. Now, what about a pregnant heifer, right? We guys have seen multiple presentations that we've done here that we like this topic, right? Because by changing the nutrition of a pregnant animal, I can actually change how the calf develops in the uterus and then how it's going to perform in the future. Right? It's just thinking about a cow as a pretty much as a factory, and you changing, right, the parts of that car while during the factory, and it's going to perform better after it's done. Right? So it's very applied. There's a lot of implications for the whole beef industry. So the first thought that we wanted to about this study was, what if I feed this probiotic for pregnant animals that are still growing and that they need that extra amount of energy and protein that it could provide? Right? So that extra amount of energy and protein, maybe they will gain more during pregnancy. That would change their metabolism. That would be beneficial to the calf that will be born for those heifers. Okay, so the study here started in May. They're all pregnant, right? They're starting calving from August all the way until October. Okay, so in this case here, all those pregnant heifers, pregnant for the first time, they're separating 2 groups. Everybody in Bahia grass pastures, half of them get the probiotic, half of them do not. Okay, and they receive the supplementation all the way into the start of their breeding season. So it's about 240 days of supplementation. Again, roughly $8 per count of investment. Very minimal cost. Then at the start of the breeding season, what we did, we removed the calves from the heifers, right? We already weaned them at 3 months of age. and then the heifers are placed with the bulls. We do that because early weaning increases pregnancy rates of those first calf counts by 30%, right? Which you will never get that if you don't do it. But then it also allows us to put those young calves in a feedlot, and I feed everybody the same diet. Okay, so any differences that I see in their growth performance or immune response is because of how I treated the mother, not because the mother is producing different amounts of milk. Okay, so the experimental design is really good, works very well for us. So that's what we did. So what about the counts? What happened when we start giving this product? So this is the body condition score throughout the study from May, right? Here, this is October, this is January, this is April, right? And this is their pre-calving body conditioning score, how much they gained before they calved. So when we provided a probiotic, we actually increased their body condition score again. Exactly what we wanted. And so that means that they calve in a slightly better body condition score. But after that, right, their requirements are so high that the quality of the grass that we have doesn't meet their requirements. They start dropping their condition really quick. So by the start of the breeding season, that extra amount of body condition score disappeared, right? So when we look at their reproductive performance, we don't see any differences in pregnancy rates. But look at this number here. It's about 90%. You would never get that in first calf counts if you don't do early weaning. So by doing the early weaning, you actually mask some of the potential that we could detect, right? But that's fine. The whole goal about the study was to look at the performance of the calves. And something that we see here, there's also no differences in birth weights if we provide the supplement or not. So even though they gain more body condition score when they were pregnant, they calved in better body condition score. That didn't cause a much bigger calf, no problems at calving. Then after that, what happened to the calves? No differences in birth weights. At 3 months of age, when they were early weaned, no differences on their body weight. Then we put them in a dry lot. And then we start feeding them a lot of energy, a lot of protein for them to grow as much as they can. So look at the end of the study. So after 60 days in a dry lot, those calves born from cows that received the probiotic, they're about 20 pounds heavy. And most of that because they were more feed efficient. They consumed the same amount of feed, but they gained more. And these calves never had access to the probiotic, right? They never consumed that after birth or even during the dry lot. This is just because what I did to their mothers when they were still a fetus, right? Something else that we saw is that when we put those calves in a dry lot, we vaccinate them to challenge their immune system, right? To really see what we can do, how they respond to vaccination. And we also saw that calves born from cows that received the probiotic, they had better response to vaccination. More calves respond to the vaccine, more calves produce more antibodies, right? So worked out very well. This is very consistent with the other studies that we've done, that when we improve the nutrition during pregnancy, it tends to lead to better calves at weaning, like heavier, stronger calves, more prepared for the challenge that it's going to come, right? What cause here, we're still working on it. We're analyzing the microbiome, the metabolome. There's a lot of analysis that we're doing for this study, trying to explain. And I'll show you that next year when I have everything done, right? But again, it shows a lot of promise that it's not only for developing heifers, but for a pregnant animal, it can actually work very well too. Now, if you notice in this study here, those pregnant heifers, everybody was eating 2 pounds of a supplement that had the probiotic or not. We're never going to do that to a mature cow. So one way that we could provide the probiotic using a mature cow is adding to the trace mineral salt. All right, so that in this study here, what we did, we used 300 cows. It was roughly 26 pastures, and they received access to the probiotic or not added to their trace mineral salt for the whole year. So we started right after they weaned their calves, when they were at the beginning of the late gestation period. And we ended until the following year when we weaned their calves that will be born, right? Everybody on Bahia grass pastures, and they have this trace mineral salt with or without the product. In this case here, it's pretty much 320 days of supplementation. That's roughly $10 per cow that we spend. Now, so what happened in this study here? First, all the students and Julie, I thank them for doing that hard work, because this took a lot of time. We measured the consumption of trace mineral salt every week for the whole year, all those 26 pastures. All right. So what we saw is what's typically what you would get in a cow-calf situation. There's a lot of fluctuation at the beginning. Sometimes they eat a lot, sometimes they don't eat much. And then once you start providing the winter supplementation, hay and molasses, the consumption of trace mineral salt decreases a lot. It only goes back to what you need once you bring the spring starts and you start having some rainfall, right? Pasture comes up, they start consuming more of the trace mineral salt. But during the winter time, that's very typical this for them to happen, right? Trace mineral consumption goes down a lot. But nonetheless, you guys can see there are several days, several weeks actually, that when you added the product, they consumed more. So in average, they consumed slightly more trace mineral salt when we provided the probiotic compared to the group that do not have that. So overall, when you do the average of the whole year, our target was 56 grams per day. You guys can see that both treatments achieved the target intake. But when you provided the probiotic, they actually help with the consumption. Now, what happened to the performance of the cows, right? So pre-calving period, no differences. This is different than what I showed you in the study with the pregnant heifers, right? Now, once the breeding season started, those cows that had access to the probiotic, they actually gained slightly more. So they had slightly better body condition score at the end of the breeding season, right? After that, the other group compensated, and by the time they reach weaning, there's no difference between those two groups. So what we saw was actually no differences in pregnancy rates of those animals if they had probiotic or not. This was kind of expected, right? Mature cows, they're very resilient. You can do all kinds of changes to their nutritional program. If they calve in good condition, right, and they start breeding season in good condition, they will breed, right? So small changes to body condition score sometimes doesn't really hurt them, as long as they calve in good condition. If they calve below 5, then that's an issue, right? So this was kind of expected here. And however, when we look at the performance of the calves, very consistent. Calves born from cows that receive supplementation. And now in this study here, they also had access to the trace mineral salt, right? So they were able to go there and lick a little bit of the product. So we don't know if it's just because of what we did to the mother, or it's because they all actually consumed the product. But at the end of the day, at the end of the study, those calves that were in those groups that received the probiotic, they were about 10 pounds heavier at weaning, which nowadays is roughly almost $30. And remember, it costs $10 per count to do this. Now, this study here, all the calves were weaned. The steers, we send them to the feedlot, so I'll have the carcass data on that next year to show it to you guys. The heifers we stayed here at Ona, and we are raising them right now. I'll have the reproductive performance next year to show as well. But I hope that you guys can see that all the opportunities that we have by using this product. It doesn't take much, it's easy to mix, and the cost is very minimal, but the benefit seems to be very consistent. And another thing that I would like for you guys to remember is, for a long time, a lot of the decisions about the cow herd was based only if the cow will breed or not. All right, so give the cheapest diet, make sure that she has in good condition. Is she breeding better or not? That was the decision that people used. Now, hopefully, with all the studies that we've been doing the last 6-7 years, is that we're trying to change that perception. Is that the decision about changing the nutrition of a cow herd is what it's going to do to the cow and to the calf. I can show you several studies that nothing happens to the cow, but the improvement that we had in the calf was far beyond the cost of the food. All right, so it's time to change how we think and just look at the pair, not necessarily if the cows will breed or not, right? So that's pretty much what I wanted to show you guys. I just wanted to go to the main topics, right? Like I said, there's very few studies on that. A lot of the questions that you guys might have, I probably won't know, right? Some of the questions that people have is, what if I use a different species? What if I use a different strain? Would that work? I don't know. I don't know, because a very, very limited study. And like I said at the beginning, some strains have more, they're better at doing a specific job than others. So there might be situations that adding the probiotic will result in no benefit. We just don't know yet what. But at least we know in our scenario, it's working very well, right? So before I end, I'd like to thank the Cattlemen Association for funding part of those studies, and also Novonesis for providing that, right? And I'd like to thank all the students, Vinicius, Connor, and Julie, all the interns that have been helping us with these studies. The heifer study is actually Connor's master's study, so you will see next time he will be the one presenting about this. All right.
Okay, before you go, I would like to give a couple of announcements about some upcoming events that we hope that you will join us for. The first one is our next Ona Highlight. That is scheduled for November 22nd, and that is a different day than usual. Usually it's the second Tuesday of the month, and this is going to be a Friday. That is going to be a long-term agroecosystem research update with Dr. Maria Silveira. The next program I'd like to tell you about is the IFAS Environmental Lands Management Program. And that one is going to be held at the Lee County Civic Center. And that's in North Fort Myers. And let's see. The sale for that one has actually ended, but if you're interested, contact Lindsay. Her information is on this flyer. And as always, when the program ends and we get this recording processed, we will share these flyers with you with the link to the recording and a PDF of Dr. Moriel's PowerPoint. This event, the Pasture Rangeland Forage or PFR Insurance Workshop, is going to be held here at the Research Center on October 24th. This is an event that Hannah Baker is working with, a group in the Southeast. They are having 7 of these programs in different areas across the Southeast with 2 Florida locations, us being one, and the other has already taken place. That was on September 26th at Live Oak. So if you're in Florida and you'd like to participate, this Thursday would be the one you want to attend. The cost for participating, I believe, is free. This is an evening program. So where's Hannah? Hannah, is there still time to register for this one? Okay, she said yes. Awesome. Okay, so she said there'll be plenty of food and a great program planned. So if you would like to make it to this one, please get online and sign up, and I will make sure you have this in time to do that. This is not one of our programs, but one of our collaborators with the LTAR program. Archibald Biological Station is hosting an Environmental Stewardship Day on November the 7th. This program is going to be held in the morning at the station and then in the afternoon at Buck Island Ranch. Morning presentations, afternoon lunch at the ranch, and a swamp buggy tour. Cost is $15 to attend, and I'll make sure you get that so you can sign up if you'd like to attend. Managing Cattle Enterprises for Success. This program has 3 different dates, 3 different locations, and 3 different topics. I just found out this morning that the one that is scheduled for October 24th in Polk County has been canceled. So the next available program is November 7th in Pasco County, and the topic there is going to be breeding season management. The cost to attend, if you register at least 1 week in advance, is $15. Or if you've missed that 7-day boundary, the cost is $25. And again, that is an evening program. Good news, we have rescheduled our field day. It is going to be April the 17th. Same schedule as previously planned from 8 until 3 o'clock. And registration, because this isn't until April, is going to open in February. So if you would like to attend, and we hope you would, please save the date. If you're not already doing so, we invite you to follow us on social media. And if you do not get our Friday e-news, please send us an email to ona@ifas.ufl.edu, and we will add you to our email contact list so that every Friday you can get some good information as to programs going on here at the center, things that we're doing, guests that visit, awards, all sorts of wonderful things. So that's a great way to stay connected to what's going on. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we hope to see you back here in November. Thank you.